nationally, that affects federal, state, and local. With the war going on now, that when we talk about billions of dollars in overruns for a defense budget, that money has to come from somewhere. So federal government has to take it from states. States cannot contribute as much to local government. So I don't know all the answers. But together, I think we'll find them.
Do you feel, Senator, in terms of your service on the state level, and I know that you're busy moving from place to place and your day is full and et cetera, but now there's sort of a feeling now with the war going on that instead of us meeting most of the problems that we have on the local and state level, that most of us are involved in the war one way or the other. And I don't mean that as a criticism, but I'm simply saying that perhaps the war has sort of set aside whatever might be another agenda, and that we probably can't do anything in terms of meeting these needs until the war is over. Is that a perception that is popular?
Well, it hasn't actually set it aside. I think our agenda has been refocused on what's happening on the national level, because what's happening with the war actually affects what's happening in the schools, because those are our children's daddies and mothers who are there. The world hasn't stopped. It must go on. But I would say that more of our attention is focused on a national level now, as opposed to a local level. But even with all that, government goes on. We still have children to educate. We still have senior citizens to feed. We still have roads to pave. We have all of these other things that must be dealt with. And it means that we cannot stop and focus just on what's happening in the war. One day, we hope soon, the war will be over, and we'll continue on. But that war, I think, if no other impact, the war will have an impact on what we do financially and on what we have as disposable income.
Well, now, as a junior member of the Tennessee State Senate, have you already received your committee assignments?
Yes.
And how do you see those committee assignments, and what are some of the things that you wish to accomplish as members of some of these committees?
You know, I was real fortunate. I've received a vice chairmanship on state and local government, and that will be quite beneficial, and it has been quite beneficial for me in that, you know, I'm serving a dual purpose now, serving as city councilwoman and state senator. And it provides me an opportunity to see what kind of laws we're enacting that will affect local government and state government. Additionally, I serve on a select committee for children and youth. And our focus now is how to save the child.
Why don't you speak to that as an issue? Because we're very, very concerned about the children's issue here.
Well, I think one of the issues that we have looked at is when to put a child in foster care, if there's some actions that we can take to keep a child at home rather than taking them out of the home, placing them in foster care, how we can cut down on child abuse, what we can do for single parents to help them better understand their children and better become a responsible citizen. The other issue is how we can feed our children. We look at low birth weight, how we can feed our youngsters who manage to get pregnant without the kind of health care facilities, without utilizing the kind of health care facilities that we have here. And then teen pregnancy. It's a real problem across the state of Tennessee that our youngsters, some of them are becoming impregnated at the age of 12. And we're having to deal with that because a pregnancy is something that just doesn't go away. Those are some of the issues that we've talked about on the Select Committee on Children and Youth.
It seems that most of these issues, though, Senator, we've been dealing with for the last 20, 25 years. I know.
That's right.
I've been dealing with the whole issue of teen pregnancies, child abuse, and et cetera. Do you think that things are getting any better or worse? Or I mean, what's your assessment in terms of, because one thing I think everybody will agree that we need more money in order to do some of the things that we have to do, intervention programs and et cetera. But now if we don't have any money, how do we get out of this?
Well, lack of money isn't always the reason for pregnancy. Sometimes it's lack of education, and we have beaten education to death, but it's essential. Many young folk are not aware of how they become impregnated. I think, and many times we think of it as being the responsibility of the female. We must educate our young men about responsibility, about abstinence. You know, I think that's the crucial point. If we can talk to them and convince them that time doesn't run out, that abstinence is the best policy. More money, as I see it, would not prevent teen pregnancy. I think lack of activities. Sometimes when there are no activities in the community, when children go to school, get out, many of the seniors are out at 1:45 early in the day, they have the rest of the evening while parents are at work to spend idle time. We must find other activities for those youngsters so that their minds won't be wandering. And we have to look at human nature. You know, boys and girls, there are certain feelings that go with growing up, becoming an adult. And we must teach them how to control those feelings. And many times being involved in other activities prevents pregnancy.
Very good. Senator, there are a number of things that I would imagine the community is concerned in terms of your views, and I would also imagine that you've had a number of people to talk to you about a number of things that we've not mentioned here today. Why don't you sort of give us some additional information in reference to some of the things that people are concerned about and some of the things that you hope to accomplish as a member of the
One of the issues that many of us have not talked about, and it's surfaced every day, and that is abortion. And it is so interesting. I spoke at a private school just a few days ago, and one fifth grader asked me, well, what are your views on abortion? And I think it's something that a new legislator coming in who is a mother, a parent, we have to think about, you know, what are our views on abortion? And recognize that as legislators, we do not always have the answers. We've talked about ethics, and I think, you know, ethics to one person may not be ethics to another. We have committees that have been assigned to listen, to draw legislation that we will be governed by. I think what we found that most of us, our intent is to be good, upstanding legislators. But there are things that we do unaware. We're unaware of when we're committing some kind of fault. That's what the ethics committee is determining right now.